Hey guys, project-zodiac here. I'm back with another video. This is another movie review, and this is one I'm very excited to talk about because this is my movie review for Fantastic Four First Steps, and I'm super excited about this. I saw this a few days ago. I was supposed to be releasing my Fantastic Four movie reviews before this movie released in anticipation for it, but I have just been so busy that I wasn't able to record all of them in time. So I'm recording 3 of them back to back and a couple of other movies as well, because there's a lot I'm gonna have to do in the next few weeks. So I just wanted to get a couple of videos done today. So if you see me with the same shirt and hairstyle for the next few days, or for the next few videos, this is why. But with that said, guys, let's go straight into this review. For those of you that just want my quick general thoughts, that's going to be this beginning portion. Middle portion is my in-depth spoiler-free thoughts, and then the final portion is just my quick spoilery talk. So let's go straight into this movie review because I have a lot I want to say about it. So right away, thankfully, this is a very good MCU Marvel movie, and I'm so excited for it because there has been a few good movies since Endgame. For me, those would be Spider-Man: No Way Home, Eternals. Yes, Eternals. I really love Eternals. Deadpool and Wolverine, and now Fantastic Four, First Steps. So I'm probably missing one other movie that I can think about right now. Again, there's been some really good ones, like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was pretty good. It's just it didn't use the concept to its fullest extent. But this movie, though, is different. Oh, Shang-Chi 2 was also a very good movie, but I did like Eternals more than it. But again, some really good movies, but a lot of the movies have had that forced humor. A lot of the movies just felt a bit formulaic in the Marvel theme or the Marvel concept or formula. There we go. The Marvel formula of what gets lots of ticket sales. Even the Marvels, a lot of people hated that movie, but it was actually pretty fun. I really liked it. It really surprised me. But again, it's still not the best. Even the new one, Captain America: Brave New World, that was not a very fun movie. I didn't really like it. And then we have the shows, right? So the shows are pretty decent, pretty good overall. I really like the shows. But then we get into the issue of the multiverse saga, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So after Endgame, there hasn't been too many movies that shows the true quality of the MCU movies, other than the ones that I have mentioned in my opinion. So again, that would be Eternals, Spider-Man: No Way Home, Deadpool and Wolverine, and now Fantastic Four. So I am so glad that this movie is really good. And it honestly, if you see my review of the Fox Fantastic Four movies, those two, particularly the first one, is one of my favorite superhero movies. But this movie, this Fantastic Four movie, I think it's a much better movie. And I'll talk about that later on in my in-depth thoughts, but in terms of the character portrayals, I do prefer the character portrayals of the Fox Fantastic Four movies, the first 2 ones. Those characters are just really, really iconic, I guess, in the way that they were handled. But the actors in this movie also does a very good job. It doesn't feel like it needed to be those actors. It felt like, okay, this is a different universe, and these characters, these actors do feel like the Fantastic Four. So yeah, I really like the movie. When they originally announced the casting, I'm like, they seem a little bit off to be the Fantastic Four, and I don't get why Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards. I don't think he's going to be a really good Reed Richards. But I was surprised because honestly, as Reed Richards, he does a very, very good job. I think he could have shown a little bit more emotion because he's just a little bit more serious in this movie, as is Sue. But really, overall though, like, they did a very, very good job. I was very surprised. So this movie was so fun. I loved the 1960s futuristic, retro futuristic view art style. Um, I forgot the name of that particular art style, but if you look up like 60s futuristic stuff, they of the concepts of how they thought that like our time now would have been. Yeah, so that kind of concept, that's what this movie has, and it's so cool, it's so charming. I do have one little complaint with it, just one complaint about that, but I'll leave that in a little bit when I talk about my complaints. But yeah, the color palette was cool. The special effects was really good. Silver Surfer, being a girl, they did a really good job with her in this movie, and it was actually still similar to the original Silver Surfer, but I feel like they did a little bit more with her in this movie than they did with the original Silver Surfer. So I really liked how Silver Surfer was portrayed in this movie. I thought that that was really, really good. Um, and I mean, I do wish we had like the giant holes of the planet opening up like in the original one, uh, because Silver Surfer just kind of comes, says, "Yeah, the world's going to end. Galactus is coming," and then she leaves. That's it. So it didn't feel like she was so much of a threat. It just felt like she was the messenger. But then when we see her in action, like chasing after the Fantastic Four, then you can kind of say like, yeah, that's kind of a threat. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I really like the characterization of Silver Surfer in this movie a little bit more than how it was done in, or a lot more than how it was done in your original, the second Fantastic Four movie. On top of that, I also really, really liked the costumes. I thought the costumes were great. Just some of the moments in the movie felt genuinely funny. There isn't that, I mean, there's just a few scenes where it was that forced Marvel humor, but again, there were very, very few of those scenes. The most of the scenes in this movie was genuine humor, genuine humor. It felt really natural and really good, and I love that. Um, and just the fact that this movie itself also has space travel again, which is really cool. It's nice to see. And the whole chase with Galactus and the Silver Surfer scene in space, that was so cool. Like, there's just so much really cool things in this movie. Really, really cool things. And I just thought it was so fun. So that's just my overall quick thoughts on the movie. I want to really go into my in-depth thoughts, but this movie was so fun. I do have some complaints, of course, some complaints, but I'm just glad that this is another very good, high-quality Marvel movie, and that they even do a lot of very creative things with this movie, and they focus on the characters being like human people again. So I love that. So yeah, this movie was really, really good. I love it. I love it so much. So if you haven't watched it yet, definitely go watch it. Now, for my in-depth thoughts, for those of you that want to stay for my in-depth thoughts, thank you. For those of you that just want to know my quick thoughts, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. But now it's time for my in-depth thoughts. So I love the things that they do in this movie. There's a lot of moments in this movie where it did feel like some actual tension in it. There was a couple of moments in this movie where I was just like, oh wow, like what are they gonna do here? Like it was done really, really well done. And Sue and Reed's relationship, you can tell that it's a really like good relationship, even if they have arguments about things sometimes. They really know each other well, and you can tell that they still love each other even with their imperfections, that they know really well about each other. And I thought that that was really, really good. The big plot of the movie itself, I don't want to say because that's about some spoilers, but I thought that that was done really well and really heartwarming too, in a way. And it's also, again, another very serious topic. It's like, this is a very serious situation. So I'm really glad that they handled that with care. Herbie is one of the best characters. He's adorable. Um, or Ben in this movie, he has a lot of heart. He's very soft. I really liked how they presented him, but I do think they could have had him and Johnny being a little bit more bickery with each other because it kind of felt like they weren't. And also, Ben just kind of felt like the one that was left aside the most. The other three felt like they had a much bigger focus. So I wish they did a little bit more with Ben. Now I have another complaint about Ben, which is a spoiler one. Um, but overall, though, I do think they did a nice job in showing him being caring. I just wish that they did a little bit more in showing him being punky and aggressive with Johnny, because they didn't do that too much in this movie. Um, for context, how he was in the Fox movies with Johnny, I think he should have been like that with Johnny, but with everyone else, how he is in this movie, I think is how he should be with everyone else. Um, but with Johnny, he should be how he was in the Fox movies because that was like a really good dynamic. And yeah, I thought that overall, too, just Galactus himself was a pretty big threat. I think they handled him really well, and I thought it was really surprising, too. Now, I do think some parts of the movie was a little bit predictable, mostly towards the end, but it's okay because it was still a very fun, enjoyable movie. Now, one of the complaints that I have with the movie is that I can talk about is that whole futuristic theme that they went with because I really loved it, like I said. But the issue that I have with it is why the hell does Times Square have giant CRT TVs everywhere? And I mean everywhere. It's like in every single building around. It almost looks like a dream, and that's super cool. I love that. But it didn't really fit the aesthetic of this movie. It felt more like it's a dream world than a superhero world. Um, so again, it just really stood out a little bit. They didn't need to have that many. I think if they just had one, it would have been enough, or two would have been enough. But they had like 10. It just made no sense. So that's one thing I didn't really like. Another thing I didn't really like is I do think it is a little bit short. It would have been nice if they had it be a little bit longer. And I don't mind that it was about 2 hours long, but I really liked the movie, so I really wanted it to be a little bit longer. I'm the one that likes longer movies. Like, I watched Avatar 2, Avatar The Way of Water, 12 times in theaters. So, over the course of just 1 month, and that movie is 3 hours and a few minutes long. I don't mind it because I love that. So, when it's a movie that really uses its time well, you really don't feel like it's that long. And this movie really has a lot in its time that happens in a short amount of time that it would have been cool if they added a little bit more for us to be able to spend time with them a little bit more. Because, yeah, it just really was pretty cool overall. So that's just one complaint that I can talk about. Another big complaint, too, is I just think that, well, actually, there is one big complaint that I have that I can't really say right now because it's a spoiler. So let me just say it like that. That there's another big complaint that I have, but it is a spoiler, and I'll talk about that in my spoiler section. But overall, though, this movie was so fun. I loved this movie a lot, and I'm so excited for it to come to 4K Blu-ray because I really want to rewatch it. I can go to the theaters now and rewatch it, but I'm very busy, so I won't be able to right now. But yeah, it was such a fun movie. The post-credit scenes, though, I do want to talk about that. The first one was pretty cool. It wasn't very shocking, though, or surprising, but it was cool. It was a little bit surprising and like, oh, well, that was interesting. But it at the same time wasn't surprising, as in like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next movie or anything like that. Not like that, you know. And the second one was just a funny thing, really. It wasn't anything really big, but it's okay. So yeah, overall, I really really love this movie. I thought that this movie had so much charm. The characters were done well, and I really think that they respected the Fantastic Four really well with this movie, especially because the Fantastic Four is Marvel's, first big superhero family. So I know that it is something that's very important to them. So I'm really glad that, now that they have the rights for Fantastic Four to make movies, that they did handle it with care. I loved it. Now, those were my quick general thoughts. I do also want to talk about how I think this compares to Superman. I'm just trying to decide if I should talk about that here or if I go into my spoiler. Let me just, yeah, I'll just talk about that here. Comparing it to Superman, I'm impressed with both of them. I think both of them have a really, really good production, a really, really, really good message and design. Um, a lot of people seems to be liking Fantastic Four a little bit more than Superman, from what I'm seeing. Uh, but honestly, I like them just as equally. They were really, really good, and I'm just glad to have some really nice superhero movies back to back, because that it's been a little while since they've done that. Now, going into my spoiler section. So, for those of you that don't want to stick by for the spoiler section, thank you for watching. If you see this movie, let me know what you think. But for those of you that are sticking for my spoiler section, there isn't too much I need to talk about. It's just a couple of things. So, let's go straight into that. So, the big spoiler complaint that I have with this movie, it is I thought that the movie was going to be set in the 60s in the main MCU universe, but it's not. And that's fine because I've known since Thunderbolts that this is coming from a different universe. Okay, cool. So I actually do love that. I just didn't want to say that in my spoiler free sections of the review just because I don't know if a lot of other people had the same thoughts or didn't see Thunderbolts. Um, so I love that this movie itself was in a different universe. So it really didn't feel like it was stuck with the MCU formula. It felt like they were allowed to do a proper superhero movie again, without being stuck to a particular formula for the most part. And I really, really like that a lot. So I loved it. And unfortunately, though, I kept waiting the whole movie to see what happens that makes the Fantastic Four go to the main MCU universe. But we don't. Not even in the post-credit scenes. We don't see that. So that's actually one of my complaints as well, is that we don't get to see why they even go to a different universe or how they even go to a different universe. Yes, the post-credit scene shows Doom, and of course we know that. So maybe it's safe to say that Doom originates from this universe, and he uses Franklin's powers to go to a different universe, kidnap him, and that's why the Fantastic Four comes. They kind of find a way to do so. Okay, if that's the case, that would be cool, but I wish they kind of explained that in this movie. Because the next big one, pretty soon we're going to be getting Avengers Doomsday. So, I mean, it feels like they're going to have to explain a lot in a very short time, depending on how long that movie will be. But even if it's 3 hours, that's like one of my biggest complaints right now with how messy the MCU is with its continuity right now, because almost nothing is actually connecting. And if they're going to be connecting and hyping everything up of this whole phase in one movie, that seems like there's going to be way too much to balance. Because it's already the big team up crossover movie to begin with. But then you have all of these other things that's not been connected in any of the other movies other than small, tiny little references here and there. And then it's just going to be all sucked into this big movie along with its own concept and its own things that it needs to get done. So I'm kind of worried about that, but we will see how that goes. It's actually, I would rather them still attempt it than not addressing all of the other things at all, because then that would be extremely pointless, I think, for this whole multiverse saga. Um, but anyway, so we'll see how that goes. Another smaller complaint that I had was Ben growing a beard. Um, I at first did not like the beard, but and then this is also not a complaint at the same time. When he puts on the Fantastic Four uniform and he has the beard, I was like, okay, the beard works with the costume. It doesn't work without the costume, but with the costume, it's actually pretty cool. So it worked on that case as well, a different design for him. So I thought that that was pretty cool too. And then another little complaint that I have in regards to spoilers is, um, well, okay, sorry, not a complaint. Another praise, another thing that I really love about this movie that is spoilers, is the fact that this movie has a big focus on family, and I love that a lot. And the concept about, Galactus wanting Franklin and the Silver Surfer trying to take him from her womb and like the birth on the ship as they're being chased. Like those were actually some tense, serious moments, and I really loved how that was done. And it's also just really cool to see that the Fantastic Four is the only group in, or the only people in that world or this universe that on Earth that has superpowers. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well, or at least that's what it looks like. Um, so I just thought that the tenseness in this movie was done pretty well. There was some scenes that was very on edge and scary. Scary in the sense of not horror, but scary in the sense of like um just like what's gonna happen next. Like this is a serious situation, something like that. I thought that that was done really really good. Um and yeah, just the concept about like them having to choose to give up Franklin or having to give up the world, I thought that was really interesting and how the people reacted to it too. It's like a huge thing to think about and talk about. Like if your parents like and the safety of the entire world depends on you sacrificing your child, is that something that you would do? And it's your newborn child that was just born. It is a little bit of a thought-provoking, moral, philosophical discussion with it, and I thought that that was really, really interesting for sure. Um, and how people reacted to it as well. I thought that that was done really good. So overall, again, I just really think it handled its concepts and its themes really, really well. Um, and it was just really nice to see it being handled seriously as well. So I really, really like that. Um, but overall, guys, I really think that this movie is fantastic. It really is. And I really recommend you all watch it. Let me know what you think of it. I think that there's another spoiler thing that I'm forgetting, and I'm sorry if there is. But those are like most of the big ones that I wanted to talk about. Um, but let me know your thoughts on this movie. With all that said, guys, rate, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye.